There it is, Emirates Stadium. Now, adorning the North Bank wall are some Arsenal greats. Cliff Baston, as a non-Arsenal supporter, I know very little of Cliff Baston, but for him to have held the Arsenal scoring record for a whole 58 years, having fired 178 goals, he'd qualify as an all-time great for sure. Now this guy here, Tony Adams, an absolute legend of not only the Arsenal Football Club but of the Premier League full stop. And here's my all-time favourite player, Arsenal player, Liam Brady. He would pretty much just about edge out Charlie George in that department. Now we move along, and Thierry Henry, no argument there, he would make any Premier League best 11 without question. Now as we walk around here, we come to a statue of Tony Adams. What a marvellous tribute this is for such a great player, for such a great footballer and an Arsenal legend. Robert Pire. I hope I said that right, in the right French accent, but he would be widely considered as one of the greatest Arsenal players of all time. Now, here's John Radford, whom I have no knowledge of, but an obvious legend in his own right. 149 scorching strikes to his name, as the sign says. Now here's a guy that I actually once saw live in a match at the old Sydney Football Stadium when they came to Australia, when Arsenal came to Australia in 1978, believe it or not. Now that night, Arsenal played Australia, and if I'm not mistaken, Australia won that game with a winner scored by John Cosmina, who was later invited to trial for Arsenal. Now, I'm pretty sure my facts are correct there, but there's an interesting story for you. I was there and I saw that bloke play, and what a player he was. Well, here's another great defender of the Premier League era, Nigel Winterburn, for 13 years an Arsenal legend. And we come to Kenny Sampson, yet another left back who played for Arsenal more than 400 times now. Kenny Sampson is somebody that reminds me of a very funny story that John Barnes once said when he came on a speaking tour to Sydney. He was describing sitting in the dressing room with Sir Bobby Robson in charge, and Bobby was quite adamant that every time the keeper got the ball, they would spread it toward the left towards Kenny Sampson. And he was very emphatic that the keeper should immediately get the ball and move it across. Now, the whole dressing room was completely perplexed, because Kenny Sampson was not only not in the dressing room, but also not in the squad. That is a true story, at least coming from Digger Barnes himself. I found it hilarious, and I thought I'd share it with you too. Here we go. There's another statue over there, which we'll go have a look now too. Not this bloke again. Every time that bloke came up against Liverpool, I was always worried. What a scorcher of a goal he scored against Newcastle. I've watched that goal I don't know how many times, and I still can't work out whether he took it on his left and switched it to his right, or took it on his right, switched it to his left and back on his right. I've no idea. But what a player. So let's have a look at the statue here. Now this is the inimitable Dennis Bergkamp. Again, what a magnificent tribute this is. It's surreal to think that with these statues, these players have been immortalised. They will be remembered for hundreds of years, and they'll always be cherished as Arsenal greats. And in the case of people like Tony Adams and Dennis Bergkamp, greats of the game, full stop, of the Premier League and of world football. It's wonderful. David Seaman, a good keeper, a great keeper, is half the team, without question. Now, this is one player, Righty, Ian Wright, who I always wished was a red. Oh well, we can't have them all. Who have we got along here? David Jack and well, we've seen Sampson, we've seen Winterburn, we've seen Tony Adams, and well, here's another one of the great Arsenal defenders, Martin Keown. 449 times for Arsenal over 2 separate spells. An incredible man marker, winning over 10 major honours. There you go. Now as we round the stadium and come to the clock end, there is a statue here of Herbert Chapman. Herbert Chapman was the Arsenal manager from 1925 to 1934, winning both First Division, FA Cup and Charity Shield honours. Vieira! Anybody that could stand toe-to-toe with Roy Keane and come out on top is a favourite player of mine. There you have it. I absolutely love the way he took him on, and it was just spellbinding viewing to watch those games every time Arsenal came up against United. For me, it may as well have been Liverpool, because it was always Arsenal that I was supporting for obvious reasons. It's Ray Parlour. Now, I'm sure the Arsenal fans would remember him for his exploits on the field, but for me, the only thing that comes to mind for me is that goal he scored in that FA Cup final in 2002. Beyond that, all I know of Ray Parlour is his commentary on TalkSport, and yep, we get that in Australia. Pat Rice, another great Arsenal defender and captain. Now, as we round the clock end here, there is a statue of a player who stands alone amongst the greats, all-time greats of Arsenal, Mr. Thierry Henry. Okay, this statue here of Thierry Henry is a tribute to the wonder goal he scored against Tottenham, of all teams, in November of 2002. There you have it. A wonderful tribute to a wonderful goal and an absolutely wonderful player. Possibly, arguably, perhaps not even arguably, the greatest Arsenal player of all time. Well, that was a nice way to end the stadium tour, round the grounds of the Emirates Stadium.